Okay, hello. This is a bit different because I'm actually doing a face camel, so isn't that interesting? So, it's an announcement. It's really late. It's actually so late. It's been a full year that I've been doing my blog for. It's quite incredible. It's been actually a full year. I really can't believe that. I missed it. Like I said again, I missed it by
Gucci on my PJs, you know what's up. Gonna be a good day. Radio got kind of on replay. Always in the hall with the brand new J. Baby, got my eye, looking so fine.
what, like a couple of months? How long did I miss it by? Listen, I had a lot of. I was busy, man. God, man, I was a busy man. So much to do. It's like insane to think that I've actually been doing it for a full year. It doesn't really feel like it. This page has meant a lot to me, and I reckon if you read from it, you've seen a lot from me. Like a lot of personal, very personal things. And yeah, no, that page is very personal to me, and it's just acted as like a sort of journal for me, not a diary, because I would actually be keeping it to myself instead. But no, you have the pleasure of reading all of my lowest points. Isn't that incredible? And I think I'll just talk about some of my favorite drawings and projects of the year. The first one is, I don't know if I'll put it right here or something like that. God bless these breasts. Thinking again, I probably would not draw something of this subject matter again. I mean, it did mean more to me. It did mean something to me, more than just sexualizing a woman of faith. That's why I probably wouldn't draw it again, just because I don't like that. I don't like that. It seems really awkward to me. But it just, at the time, I was really dissecting my faith and questioning a lot of things. Very confusing times, obviously. If I knew what I was doing, I probably wouldn't draw that. That's why I'm like looking at it in retrospective. But it happened, and I still really like it though. It's a really good drawing. Come on. And at this time, I think I was still, I don't know where I was at that point. But that was like November of that year. I think I was unemployed, looking for a new job still, after I had lost my last job. So that was a interesting time, my moment in unemployment. But then this next one is when I had a job. This is the death of Marat, drawn on a paper bag with pen. It was simply a study, but it still shows what I was feeling at the time. I was working the graveyard shift, which was 10 to 6 o'clock in the morning at a gas station. Allsup's gas station. If you know Allsup's, dude. If you know Allsup's, you're real as fuck for that. Graveyard shift, working overnight. Oh, that sucked so much. And at that time, I had first listened to Death Consciousness, Have a Nice Life. Dude, that was a fucking experience and a half. And especially for being in such a dreadful time. Like, you gotta understand, I worked there for like 6 months, and for that whole time, I never saw the sun. Never. Like, barely. If I stayed up late enough, and when I woke up, because I'd wake up at like 3 or 4 or 5 p.m. in the middle of the day, and I would barely want to go outside. I didn't want to go look at the sun. It was quite literally a very dark time in my life that I spent there. And Death Consciousness, that album, did not help one lick, one bit. It was an incredible album experience. I really do think you should listen to it. But it's such an interesting drawing that the cover is based on painting that the cover is. It's at first it really implicated a theme of suicide. That's what it implicated to me, because it was in like in a bathtub. That's what it sort of implicated to me. But like after that, I started to just realize it's on the general theme of death. Like it's just about death. But not seeing the sun for about 6 months did a lot of shit to me. Like it was not that fun. The original composition sketchbook. This was my most popular series on YouTube, was the composition notebook. It did have a lot of merit, but it's no wonder as to why it became so popular. But a lot of my work at the time was just straight up porn. So like naturally it was really hard to make any content out of it. To make anything. If I were to make a speed paints, it would have to be heavily censored. If I were to make a sketchbook tour, I would have to exclude a ton of pages. Yeah, at that time, it was really hard to work around that. Really hard to work around that. And it was just slowing the project down a ton. Like, I just didn't really want to make anything out of it. If I couldn't make anything out of it, it's just, and I'm gonna be honest, I couldn't really only use a composition notebook as a sketchbook. That is just, the medium by itself is just so limiting to where it's like, you just can't really be realistic with it. But, it was just a dumb idea. A dumb idea that wasn't fleshed out a ton, or even at all. It's a real shame that it had to be my most popular idea, the one I didn't really care about and kind of just made on a whim. That's a real shame. But the next one is Lily Clove. Around this time is when I finally went back to work at my first job, which was a fast food job. It was my first job, so going back to it, it felt more comfortable because it was everything I knew. There was no really phase where it was really awkward or anything. I just got back into my old job, and at the time things were getting so much better. Everything felt so much brighter and better, obviously, because I was just back to a normal sleep schedule. I was getting sunlight every day. I was seeing some of my favorite people every day, like some of my coworkers, genuinely some of the most nicest ever people ever in the whole entire world. And I just, created an alias of Lily Clove, which I soon intended to be my transitioned name. The job at the gas station really isolated me so much that I just started changing back to such a bright and social atmosphere. I just needed that. I really needed that. And Lily Clove did come from a lot of change in my life. It's why I started to try and diet more and feminize myself and even think about and research HRT treatments. But at the time I felt more comfortable using her as a pseudonym or a pen name. That phase really only lasted maybe like a month or two where I did consider transitioning, but I just didn't. Maybe if it was a more reasonable and more safe, not to say reasonable as if like in a political sense, but like more safe, more reachable, considerable, accessible in those terms. If it was and wasn't looked down on, maybe. But considering that I thought on it for 2 months and then came out without warning to, maybe it's just the best option for me to just stay as is. But I still use Lily Clove in certain projects. There was a project I released recently with her name attached to it. It's just something different. I'm not gonna lie to you, Chief. My drawing subjects used to be very, very sexual. And my Pinterest looked horrid. Dude, oh my god, if I could go look back at my old Pinterest before I got banned, fucking Gooner Cave, I swear to god. And getting banned really changed my drawing subjects because I just kind of had to start from zero. And, you know, that just really stopped my stagnation. Because I felt like I was kind of just like narrowing down to a certain weird, creepy kind of style. Just going back to my roots and studying artists, not like photos and fashion. I still study fashion, but like I look back at like skate culture and other industries like that. Graphic design, I looked at a lot, and it made me question my stylistic choices rather than my subjects. Because, you know, of course the subjects are really important in a drawing. It's more important to find out how they're rendered, you know? It's more important to the artist about how they're rendered. I could really draw anything I want. Would I choose what I want to draw, and I choose how I want to draw them. And choosing how I wanted to draw them was just, you know, something that was in my mind, and it was a pretty important turning point for me. Turning point. Let's not do that. Composition notebook again. Around this time, I had a pretty sudden career change. I got really tired of fast food industry. So tired of the job I got back, and I quit suddenly. I had put my 2 weeks in, but I only did like 3 days after I put my 2 weeks in, and I just quit. Let my manager know, and I just fucking quit right there. And there was another bout of unemployment, yeah. But I got a new job at working with car rentals, so pretty much it's just appointment based, and you literally just sit there at the desk. And naturally, that's fucking boring. That's boring. It's so boring. So I had a lot of time to draw, but I didn't have a sketchbook that I could bring to work that wasn't full of other drawings, so I decided to just buy a new sketchbook. But then I was like, do I really need a sketchbook though? Do I really need a sketchbook? And then I just bought a composition notebook, just because I know what I'm going to be drawing with. I only draw with ballpoint pens, so like what's the point? So I did. And you know, it's actually also as a junk journal, just because I throw a bunch of shit in there too that I find. I put like fruit stickers in there, pages of stuff I find, pages that I draw on and then put in the book. It's really cool. I really like it. I think I'm almost halfway done with it too. I do give constant updates on my blog. That's an ongoing project right now, which is that blooming. This is a recent piece I'm really proud of. I combined more graphics and contrast into it, where I did draw the pose and also included the imagery of a blooming flower, where the flower does represent sexual freedom and love. It could be a lot of things that cause it, but having kinks and having your partner participate with you in those kinks is such a bonding and loving experience. You know, where, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, shibari, the one with the ropes, really embodies trust in your partner, and is something I'm guilty of. Of course my subjects are sexual a lot of the time, but it's still more passion that I want to represent rather than lust. Because truly, anything I draw my subjects doing, I would do myself too. Believe me, I would do it myself too. So, you know, that's not a lot of things other not safe for work artists can say for themselves. That, you know, it could be degrading sometimes, but, you know, shoot, I'd probably do it myself too. I mean, who wouldn't? Okay, let's scrap that there. Let's scrap that there. Here's to another year. Here's to another great year. Here's to another incredible year. I started this year pretty fat and sad. But now I'm 175 pounds, and I'm working on that right now. I'm still sad, but I did learn a lot of things. I just really love to look back at all of this part of my life that I have archived just through images and posts. It's really nice to see. It's why I think hobbies are massively important, because it can act as a personal archive of your life. What I've made in my favorite times, what I've made in my worst times, just anything you could do to just materialize your thoughts. Like I'm fucking casting a spell. You need to think now. Materialize your thoughts. Write them, sing them, fucking code them, I don't care. Just use that energy to create something. There will always be a time that you will look back and be grateful that you decided to make something. I have been very disappointed and even ashamed of certain projects I've made, but I still can look back at them and see them as important things in my life. I might not see value in them, but I know they're still important to me as a person. A lot of people just don't have something like that. I think it's something we all need, is something that can grow with us, something we can understand in hindsight, and something we can value so much more in hindsight, something that just gains value. So if you don't have that, look into something like that. Drawing, hobby, just a hobby in general. Thank you for 1 year. Hello, thank you for watching. Hello, thank you for watching. Hello, thank you for watching. Hello, thank you